more than Donald J. Trump, Canada, the 51st state, is becoming a Republican reality amongst many state legislators in the United States of America. Yes, all Republican, but now the focus is now entirely by these folks on the provinces themselves. One part of this I want to go through was my trip to the United States, and no sooner had I left Ontario to cross into the USA, which I went through Detroit. I wanted to do Detroit. I had never done that, never stopped really over in Detroit other than gas before as I've crossed Canada. I wanted to spend a day there. Now, Americans reached out to me, folks, and it was during the wildfires, all of that. They said, we want you to listen to 3 Detroit radio stations. You have to wait till you cross the Peace Bridge and then go back to your Canadian radio. And sure enough, I get all the Canadian radio even after I cross onto the American side. But on the Canadian side, none of those stations, just static. As soon as I cross the bridge, bam, I get all this Detroit news. I learn all about what now in the link of this title is published in the Environmental Protection Agency of all the states of the Union that complained about the wildfires and the province's mismanagement of the Crown lands. Vast Crown lands entirely under the control of the Western provinces, the provincial crowns. They want an investigation. Why do provinces not manage their forests? Well, I know the answer. I've been screaming it for many years. Most Canadians still to this day in a 90 percentile don't understand this, that we all live on less land than the UK or the state of Florida. That's the amount of private property available in Canada. Everything else is off limits and entirely owned by either A, the provincial crown, or B, the federal crown. Now, we'll see. I'm probably going to get zapped. Whenever it's topics the Canadian government and the provinces hate, which is a part 2 to this, on Alberta, my home province, the one I know most about in history, all of it, but I can never be in one place too long, folks. Government's evil in Canada. So, folks, Wabkinu trying to defend himself. This is the same for Alberta, Saskatchewan. When you look at numbered Indian lands, it's all provincial crown land and always all on fire. Why? Not because of radicals lighting fires like your politicians would have you believe, but all you have to do is walk out 10 feet into any of this provincial crown land and you will find dead trees fallen. The slightest spark from a lightning strike and boom, you've got a massive wildfire. This is literally 80% of the provinces of BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, and Quebec. That much. It's not available to any of you. And your provincial government, solely owners and responsible, don't do a damn thing. And they will never take accountability, even though they keep all of you restricted and keep all Americans from expanding north. It's called the Great Wall of Canada, like the Great Wall of China. Always has been there, 1867, and never gotten any better. It's what they did to the 13 colonies so they couldn't march west. They couldn't. You're forbidden from those lands. Those are ours. The Crown. Well, they had a war of independence. They weren't going to tolerate any of that. And the First Nations, now American Indians, got major settlements. At least those that wish to codify true sovereignty, self-government, and independence of we, the American Indian people. That's the truth. It's never happened in Canada, isn't allowed in Canada. You must remain a savage, and Canadians must be subjects to hold the line in absolute poverty while you're skyrocketing property values that are all inflated by your crown, who holds all the land in 91 percentile away from all of you. But now Republicans are looking at all the corrupt provinces, which brings me to part 2, Alberta. Danielle Smith says, I don't want to follow any international law. Fuck America. Fuck the allies of World War II. I'm going to write my own laws where we don't follow international law. Why would she want to do that? Because they want to do pipelines to China. I'm going to be going through part 3, part 4, part 5, 2 weeks. I'm holding back because what I love is this part 3 I'm doing this Sunday is what Trump just hit. And I love it that Americans and Republicans can see the data, see the presentations, process it, and respond accordingly. And I'm loving it. Now, folks, I want Albertans who are very conservative, and that's really the least resistance with China, as long as it's branded conservative. Terrible amount of censorship. Conservatives have historically always been the driving force for the Chinese transition in Canada away from America. It's been the easiest way for tyrannical governments to get Canadians to comply. Least amount of resistance, right? Branded as conservative, and you'll find all of these transitionary steps, all of these supposed conservative political heroes are in fact number one in Chinese collusion and the war on America. Every single one. Pick your best hero, especially out of Alberta, especially federal, and you'll find they're 100% in bed with the communist regime and transitioning Canada. If Danielle Smith wanted anything else, she wouldn't be going to BC. America, the Western world, is deep port capacity, which Canada doesn't have any. Only China does shallow port access. Shanghai, not even Hong Kong. Shanghai, heart of communist China. That's the only place Alberta wants to go with its shallow ports. Because if it was USA, you just pipeline south across the border. That's all you have to do. And USA has all the deep ports to get us to Europe, everywhere else, and all of that. But Alberta and the Western Canadian concept is now to diversify to China. It has been all along, as well as the Century Initiative, which is a transition to communism. It's all taken over by foreign students for education. I publish all that. But Danielle Smith now wants to ignore international law. That's law bound by the United States of America. That means she doesn't want anything to do with America. It's all about China. And unfortunately, conservatives, as long as it's branded conservative, it couldn't possibly be anything bad. But it absolutely is. And it's undeniable, all of these figures from the Conservative Party who are absolutely no different than the Liberals. They have one agenda, one crown. Republicans have figured this out in a great majority. I love how they're targeting the provinces now. I loved what I learned right first day one of my trip back to Alberta through the United States, where I took an extended holiday. That day one, Detroit, I was made privy to all of this, what Americans are listening to, but Canadians are forbidden from hearing in the United States, is now published today. I love that. Targeting the provinces for their crown corruption, their war on America, their unaccountability. And Americans are ready to expand. At least from the Republicans, they're looking at that this is an historic truth of America, that Americans need a wagons west, like in their history, but now it's going to be north. It's going to be the Crown lands, and that's Canada, the 51st state. More and more Americans are waking up to it, from Republicans in positions of power, in their Congresses, in their Senates, and I love it. I love it because it's way bigger than Donald J. Trump now. All this hitting of my cell phone, just so everybody knows, I live 1.5 miles, almost 3 kilometers from the cell tower that should easily give me, it says I have full bars. So I live that close to the cell tower. There's no rhyme or reason. More than 50 gigs of data still available to me by the end of the month. My bars are full, but yet I'm getting smashed like I always do. And it can only be explained by absolute Canadian government censorship, as was proven to me by Americans in Detroit when they showed that crossing that bridge, all the Canadians are withheld from the American, as was proven to me when the Americans showed me that their stations are available, or Canadian stations available to all the Detroit people, but yet everyone on the Ontario border after the bridge got none of the American stations. Very pathetic indeed, and that was really telling for me by Americans and explains a lot. So God bless everybody. We'll see how the video comes out. I know there's a bunch of breaks there, but when it's loaded up to Facebook, it'll just go straight through. Hopefully it doesn't look so bad. I know it's hard for following. That's why they do it. They don't want the activity. They don't want the shares. It's called suppression. It's terrible. God bless everybody. Enjoy your day. Get the video out. It's a critical one that's really undeniable, and Canada hates being held accountable. The last thing the Crown ever wants is some kind of humanity and accountability placed upon them. They're supposed to be superior, untouchable, and never to be held account. But Republicans are waking up. Bye now. Share the video. Get it out there.